Hi VC, Dale again. Last time today. I do realise now, I was thinking that I've done all these videos back to back. Someone will point out that I've made a schoolboy error in the first one, and I'll probably have to reshoot them. So if you're watching this, either I have made 6 or 7 videos successfully, or there's something horrendously wrong with each one, but hopefully not. So this is a slight departure. It's still a kind of vinyl finds video of records this year, but it's one record and then a departure. So the one record is this one. It's called Tears of Technology. It's a various artists compilation album. Bob Stanley and Pete Wiggs from St Etienne band compilation. So I talked about this in a previous video. So this is their latest compilation album on the Ace record label. So the theme, they're all themed that they do, and I'll show a few more in a second. But the theme of this one, it's kind of around, maybe the picture can, early synthesizer electronic music. So it's kind of covering late 70s, early 80s, kind of the dawn of that synth movement. So artists on here sort of doing and they pick obscure kind of fairly obscure tracks in most cases. So it's got China Crisis, Simple Minds. I'm picking out the Soft Cell, John Fox, OMD, Pale Fountains, Human League, Teardrop Explodes. So they're the kind of popular and common ones, and then that's about half the artists, and the other ones I hadn't heard of. It's a good. It's not the best that they've done, but it's a good one. And so I picked it up on vinyl and on CD from the label when it came out. So that's the latest. But I'll kind of now do a bit of a. Oops, I haven't got them out of there. Covers. I'll do a bit of a dive back. So the first one of this run that I came across, was aware of, was this one, English Weather, this is supposed to be a street scene of the turn between the 60s and the 70s. The 70s in UK, in England, was a fairly bleak time of strikes and power cuts and sort of moving on from the colour and the 60s, Summer of Love and all of that. We moved into the 70s and it became a little bit bleak, and this cover depicts it. And the music that they've chosen, English Weather, if you see the slate grey skies, that's the kind of music they've picked, and the theme, and the kind of, that's the kind of vibe that goes through. So artists that are on, right, I'll put it there. I should be doing that. See, there's a trick of the VC that I haven't learned yet. So it's got Caravan on it. Some real kind of some obscure tracks. Some less common, Bill Fay, Aardvark, John Cale, Camel, Matching Mole, so David Allen from Gong. But it's kind of English bands. It's that 69-70 period when things kind of the psychedelia moved and the prog rock came in, and we were in that transition phase. And to say, to me, it really absolutely captures it. And so this is an album, I can put this on and play it all the way through, not feel like skipping, and even play it in the car. And I've got it on CD as well, and it stands up. Follow up to that, nearly as good, really good. Oops. Is Paris in the Spring, which is themed around student unrest, I believe, late 60s student unrest in Paris, and it's therefore predominantly, it's all French artists around that time, late 60s, early 70s, and so you've got Janko Nidovic, Jacques Dutronc, how you pronounce it? Yep. Brigitte Fontaine, Nina Ferrer, Francois Hardy, I've already talked about in a previous video, Jane Birkin, Serge Gainsbourg. Yeah, so picks tracks, and as I say, again, a pretty solid set of songs put together and that flow really well. And so, as I said in a previous video, I don't pick up many various artists' compilation albums on vinyl because they don't often achieve that mix and flow of songs. And so I do buy a lot on CD so that I can rip them and, if you like, create my own playlists, or just kind of remove that odd song that might bug me, and allow the rest of the CD to flow, or the rest of the kind of album to flow. This another high recommendation within the kind of series. The next ones in this kind of series I didn't buy on vinyl because what Ace Records is where who put these out. What they tend to do is you can get, when these are coming out, if you follow Ace Records and go to the Ace Records site, there are little sound clips of all the tracks, and so I tend to go through it and think, if I like pretty much all of them, then I'll probably get it on vinyl. If I think it's a bit hit and miss, I'll probably go for the CD. So the next one that came out is called State of the Union, and this is a US themed, and I think it's like really well known pop US acts doing quite politically themed, or songs you wouldn't expect them to do. So it picks up some that I'm already aware of, like Dion, from Dion and the Belmonts doing Abraham, Martin and John song. And I've got Dion's album this is on. It's a fantastic album of covers that he does. Well, a mix of covers and a few of his own. But it's got people like the Four Seasons, Elvis Presley, Bing Crosby, Lou Christie, Eartha Kitt, Roy Orbison, Bobby Darin, Paul Anka. So people you wouldn't think, blimey, who's going to put a compilation album of those artists together? But they're doing sometimes quite hard-hitting songs that from those artists, which I imagine makes them doubly hard-hitting at the time, if that makes sense. So so this is a good album, but it didn't quite chime with me, so that I bought it on vinyl. And similarly, the next one is called 3 Day Week, and so this sort of picking up what I said about the 70s in the UK, sort of we did reach a point where due to downturn, a recession, and fuel crisis, a lot of businesses went on a 3-day week because that's all they could afford to do. So this kind of gets into the sorry, I should have let me show the track listing for the, hopefully that'll come out, I can't really tell. This is kind of 1973 when it was kind of at its peak, and it's therefore 1973 was also when glam hit the UK, and the pop was going into glam, and so there are a number of artists. It seems to have that feel to it. So it's got some. Again, it's just kind of hats off to Pete Wiggs and Bob Stanley for, they must have a lot of time on their hands, or a very photographic music memory to be pulling these things together, because I really struggled to create a playlist for the car, for the family, that I can go, yeah, I've nailed that. It's often, Dad, skip this track, will you? What on earth are you doing? So this has got a mix, got Matchbox, Mungo Jerry, Lieutenant Pigeon, Edgar Broughton Band, Hawkwind, Cockney Rebel, who else have we got? David Essex, you know, Real, the Kinks, you know, sort of a set of artists that you probably wouldn't think to put together. And then the most recent, this might just be Bob Stanley. I don't know if it's just Bob Stanley. I think it is actually. So slightly off out of this series is called Tea Symphony, which I think is a follow-up to a comp that is done also called Tea Symphony, but with new tracks. And this again, it's kind of, this is like Baroque. What it says, the English Baroque sound 68 to 74. So this is again English artists you might not expect, and doing some Baroque pop. So Colin Blunstone obviously is you would expect from the Zombies. Honeybus, I think, fairly well known in that field. Nirvana, the UK Nirvana sort of pop psych band, pop psych rock prog band perhaps. Clifford T. Ward is another one that's probably well known, but then there are a number of others that I've never heard of. John Plum, Bam Bombadil, Lee Nixon, Gordon Waller. I haven't heard of these artists. Not bad, not bad. Again, you know, I think I lucked out because these are the cream of the crop, I think, and this is standout. And this they're doing a follow-up version. So this is called English Weather, and as I say, depicts that period. I think they're doing a follow-up version either from the year after themed, or you know, again early 70s. It's called Occasional Rain rather than English Weather, and that's due out soon, and I've got that on pre-order. So should we ever get releases, I think Ace are still putting stuff out of. So I think I'll stop there because it's for those of you on lockdown. It's I've so just finished my work for the day. I've been doing these videos in between meetings. So I've finished my work for the day, and it's the time where I get to go out and get my daily exercise under lockdown. So my wife and I are going to go for our stroll for an hour, and get our exercise before we come back and get dinner. So take care, everyone. Cheers. Bye.